The Strait of Hormuz is this tiny little passage between the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. At its narrowest point, it's only about 33 miles wide, but the part where ships can actually sail, barely 2 miles. And through that tiny gap passes nearly 20% of all the oil traded on planet Earth. Every single day, more than 20 million barrels of crude oil squeeze through this bottleneck. That's 1 out of every 4 barrels of oil that travels by sea anywhere. So why is it suddenly viral right now, in early 2026? Because Iran did something no one thought they'd actually do. They closed it. For the first time in modern history, the Iranian military basically said, nobody leaves. Almost 800 commercial ships got trapped inside the Gulf. Nearly 400 of them were oil tankers, just sitting there, going nowhere. The satellite images went viral overnight. Miles and miles of ships backed up like a traffic jam on a highway. Oil prices shot past $100 a barrel in less than a week. But here's what the viral videos don't show you. The Strait of Hormuz isn't just about oil. It's Iran's ultimate bargaining chip. By controlling this choke point, Tehran can squeeze the entire global economy without firing a single missile. And the craziest part, military analysts are saying the situation has permanently changed. It's never going back to how it was. Beyond all those tankers and warships and shouting heads on TV, there's another Iran, a hidden Iran, a place where time moves differently, where people live inside volcanoes, walk on each other's roofs, and carve homes into cliffs that have stood for 12,000 years. The world is obsessed with the Strait of Hormuz as a symbol of conflict. But these villages, they're the real Iran, and almost nobody talks about them. So let me take you there. This is Kandavan. First stop looks like something straight out of The Lord of the Rings. And it might be the strangest village you've ever seen. About 50 million years ago, Mount Sahand erupted. Lava flowed everywhere, cooled into these weird, dark stone cones. Over millions of years, wind and rain carved them into these towering chimney-like spikes. And then, around the 13th century, some people looked at these rock formations and said, you know what, let's live inside them. And they did. Generation after generation, they dug chambers, staircases, windows, even stables for their animals, right into the volcanic rock. Today, more than 150 families live inside these cones. Some of them are 40 meters tall. From a distance, it looks like a termite mound city. But when you get closer, you see tiny doors and windows carved into the stone. And each cone is a fully functional, multi-story home. The bottom floor is usually for the animals. The middle floors have the kitchen and living areas. And the top, that's storage for dried herbs and winter food. The volcanic rock is a natural insulator. It stays cool in the insane summer heat and warm in the freezing winters. No AC, no heaters. The villagers say the rock actually breathes. But life here isn't easy. There are no roads wide enough for cars. Everything moves by donkey or on foot. Electricity only arrived in the late 1900s. Water used to be carried up from the river below. Now they have pipes, but it's still tough. The pathways between the cones are so steep that many older people rarely leave their homes. Yet the people of Kandavan are fiercely proud. They grow lentils and chickpeas on the terraced slopes. They keep sheep and goats. And some families have opened their cave homes to travelers, serving tea brewed with mountain herbs. To sit inside one of these homes is to feel history pressing in on you. "800 years of continuous habitation. The walls are smooth from generations of hands brushing against them. Kandavan is one of the last places on Earth where people still live in cave homes that were never abandoned. It's not a museum. It's a living, breathing village. And in a world of glass towers and concrete jungles, it reminds us that sometimes the smartest architecture is just asking the Earth for shelter. This next village has figured out a way to cheat gravity. Masule is perched on such a steep mountainside that normal construction would be impossible. So the people here, maybe 1,000 years ago, invented their own solution. They built in steps. And here's the crazy part. The roof of every house is the courtyard or the main street for the house above it. Let me say that again. When you walk through Masule, you're not walking on the ground. You're walking on someone's roof. And the people above you are walking on your roof. It's a vertical village. From below, Masule looks like a giant staircase made of golden clay bricks. From above, it looks like a honeycomb stuck to a cliff. There are no straight streets, no level blocks. Every wall holds up the one above it. The buildings are made from sun-dried mud bricks, timber from the surrounding forests, and this distinctive yellow clay that gives everything a warm, honey glow. Walking through Masule is a trip. You step off a rooftop, and suddenly you're in a carpet shop. You cross through someone's laundry area to get to a tea house. The boundaries between public and private just disappear. Kids learn to run on the rooftops without fear. Donkeys' haul loads up steep stairs, their hooves gripping the clay. And when the fog rolls in from the Caspian Sea, the whole village glows with the soft light of kerosene lamps. But here's what I love about this place. The villagers have had every chance to modernize. The government wanted to build a road right through the center. They said no. Developers wanted to replace the clay roofs with concrete. They said no again. They know that the magic of Masule is its fragility. One wrong renovation, and the whole visual harmony shatters. Today, Masule is protected as a national heritage site. People still grow rice on the terraced slopes below and herd sheep on the high pastures above. And if you ever get the chance to stand at the top and look down, you'll see 1,000 years of human ingenuity compressed into one vertical plane. Architecture isn't about fighting the landscape. It's about dancing with it. Uram and Takhet high in the Zagros Mountains, on a road that winds dangerously close to the Iraqi border, there's a village that looks like it grew out of the mountain rather than being built on it. This is Uram and Takhet, and the name means the throne of Uramen. Once you see it, you'll understand why. The village rises in massive, stepped terraces. Each level is supported by dry, stacked limestone walls. No mortar, no cement, nothing but carefully cut stones fitted together so perfectly that they've held for centuries. Earthquakes, heavy snow, erosion, none of it has brought these walls down. The whole thing looks like a giant throne carved into the mountain. The architecture here is genius. All the houses face south to catch the winter sun. Overhanging cliffs block the summer heat. The walls are over 1 meter thick, providing natural insulation. And the roofs, which serve as courtyards for the houses above, are planted with grass and wildflowers. It's like a green layer that absorbs rainwater and stops erosion. Walking through Uram and Takhet is like walking through a time capsule. The narrow alleys are paved with the same limestone as the houses, worn smooth by countless footsteps. Doorways are low. You have to bow to enter. A subtle reminder of humility. And everywhere, there's water. The Zagros get more snowfall than almost anywhere else in Iran. The meltwater feeds springs that bubble up right inside the village. The residents have channeled it into stone gutters and pools that flow from house to house. The people here are ethnic Kurds. They speak a language closer to ancient Persian than to modern Farsi. They celebrate festivals that predate Islam, like Nowruz, jumping over fires on their rooftops for good luck. And they still farm the way their ancestors did, growing wheat and barley on tiny terraces that seem to defy gravity, tending orchards of walnut and pomegranate in the valleys below. But here's the sad part. The young people are leaving. The dry stone walls need constant maintenance, and there are fewer and fewer masons who know the old techniques. The road that connects them to the outside world was only paved a decade ago, and it's brought change whether they wanted it or not. Still, the elders remain hopeful. They've seen empires rise and fall from their mountain throne. They've survived invasions and droughts and sanctions. And they believe that as long as the springs keep flowing and the stones hold together, their village will endure. To sit on a rooftop in Uram and Takhet Watching the sun set over the Zagros peaks toward Iraq is to understand something profound. This isn't a village that was built. It was grown, like a coral reef, over centuries. Now let me take you to a village that looks like it's been dipped in rust. This is a Biene, the iron red village. The color comes from the local clay, which is full of iron oxide. For thousands of years, the people here have dug this red earth from the hillsides, mixed it with straw and water, and molded it into bricks. They've built their homes, their mosques, their granaries, even their animal sheds from this same red clay. And over time, the entire village has taken on that warm, earthy. It glows like a sunset that froze into stone. But a Biene isn't just about the color. It's also one of the most linguistically isolated places in Iran. The villagers speak a dialect of Persian that predates the Arab conquest in the 7th century. It's so ancient that most modern Iranians can't understand it. When an Biene elder speaks, you're hearing the voice of pre-Islamic Persia, a ghost language that survived here in this mountain fortress. And it really is a fortress. A Biene sits in a narrow valley cut off by high mountain passes that are blocked by snow for months at a time. Until very recently, the only way in or out was by foot or donkey. That isolation preserved not just the language, but the clothing, the customs, even the genes. The women still wear a distinctive costume that hasn't changed in 1,000 years. A long floral skirt, a white embroidered headscarf, and loose trousers gathered at the ankles. The men wear wide-legged black trousers and a felt cap. Seeing a group of Biene women walking through the red clay alleys is like stepping into a medieval manuscript. The village is built on a steep slope, and like Masouleh, the rooftops often serve as pathways. But a Biene has a linear layout. A single main staircase climbs from the river at the bottom to the mosque at the top. That staircase is the spine of the village. Kids play on its steps. Old men sit on the landings, smoking water pipes and chatting. Women carry baskets of grapes and walnuts up and down its 150 stone risers. And here's a secret. Beneath the village, carved into the mountain, is a network of underground chambers and tunnels. They were hiding places during invasions. The villagers would retreat into these rooms with their livestock and valuables and wait until the danger passed. Some of those chambers are still there, hidden under floorboards and behind false walls. The elders know where they are, but they rarely show outsiders. A Biene has become a tourist destination in recent years, and the young people are leaving. But the red clay village endures, stubborn, beautiful, a living fossil from a Persia that no longer exists anywhere else. Going deep into Iranian Kurdistan, near the border with Iraq. This is Palangan, and it's a village that was never meant to be found. Palangan sits inside the Tangar Canyon, a narrow gorge carved by a river over millions of years. And the village is split in two. One half clings to the West Canyon wall. The other half clings to the east wall. Between them, at the bottom, flows the Tangai River. You cross from one side to the other by simple stone bridges. From a distance, It looks like someone took a single village and pulled it apart. The white limestone houses rise in stepped terraces up both canyon walls. It's so symmetrical it almost seems planned. But it grew organically over centuries, with each family adding rooms as needed. The name Palangan actually means leopard in the local Kurdish dialect. And yeah, it fits. The village crouches on the canyon walls like a big cat ready to pounce. But here's what makes Palangan truly special. The river. The water is so cold and so pure that it supports a thriving population of rainbow trout. And the villagers have turned this into their livelihood. Along the riverbanks, carved into the canyon floor, are hundreds of small stone pools and channels. It's an ancient aquaculture system. Water from the river flows into these pools. The trout grow to maturity, and when they're ready, they're harvested by hand with nets woven from local wool. The trout of Palangan are famous. People travel for hours to get them, grilled over an open fire with nothing but salt and wild herbs, or smoked and stored for the brutal winter months. But life here is hard. The steep slopes make farming almost impossible, so the villagers carve tiny gardens into the most improbable angles, growing beans and pumpkins on patches of soil no bigger than a bedroom. Winters are brutal. Snow blocks the canyon entrances for weeks. There's a small clinic, but for anything serious, you're looking at an hours-long drive down the canyon. Yet the people of Palangan wouldn't trade it for anything. They speak a distinctive Kurdish dialect preserved by isolation. They wear traditional clothing that hasn't changed in 500 years, and their hospitality is legendary. To visit Palangan is to step into a world that has deliberately chosen to stay hidden. The canyon walls block out radio signals. There's no TV reception. The only sounds are the river, the birds, and the occasional splash of a leaping trout. In an age of constant notifications, that's priceless. If you really want to understand how deep human history can go, you have to go to Maymand. This place will blow your mind. Maymand is in the remote mountains of Kerman province, one of the driest, hottest places in Iran. Summer temperatures regularly go above 40 degrees Celsius, and yet people have lived here for 12,000 years. Let that sink in. 12,000 years. That makes Maymand one of the oldest continuously inhabited settlements on Earth. Older than Jericho. Older than the first cities of Mesopotamia. But here's the thing. Maymand isn't a village built on the land. It's carved into it. Hundreds of chambers have been hand-excavated into the soft sandstone canyon walls, creating a honeycomb that stretches for more than a kilometer. From a distance, you barely see it. Just bare sandstone slopes with dark holes that look like animal dens. But those holes are doorways, and those dark spaces are homes. The chambers are called kitches. Each one is about 4 meters by 4 meters, a single room carved into the rock. The walls are smooth from centuries of human touch. The ceilings are slightly domed to prevent collapse and to collect smoke from the central hearth. Doorways are low. You have to stoop. Windows are small to keep out the desert sun. Some kitchen have niches for storage. Others have raised platforms that serve as beds. A few have multiple interconnected rooms, like underground apartments. The sandstone is soft enough to carve with simple tools, but hard enough to hold its shape for millennia. The villagers use a pickaxe called a kalang to dig new rooms or enlarge old ones. It's slow, back-breaking work, but it's been done the same way for 100 centuries. Life in mainland is defined by the extreme climate. In summer, the underground chambers stay cool, often 20 degrees cooler than the surface. In winter, the villagers seal the doorways with felt blankets and light fires in the central hearths. The thermal mass of the sandstone holds the heat, keeping them comfortable even when snow covers the ground. The people are semi-nomadic. They live in the underground chambers during the cold winter and the brutal summer. But in spring and autumn, many move with their herds to temporary shelters in the surrounding valleys. This seasonal migration lets the land recover. They practice a form of Zoroastrianism mixed with older beliefs. They worship fire, water, and the sun. There's a sacred flame in one chamber that, according to local tradition, has been burning for over 2,000 years. Today, only a handful of families remain year-round. The young have gone to the cities. The ancient kitchens are slowly emptying. But Maymand is a UNESCO World Heritage Site now, and efforts are underway to preserve it. To stand inside a kitchen and run your hand over a wall carved by a human hand 12,000 years ago, that's not history. That's prehistory, still alive, still breathing. Stop is in the Badlands of South Khorasan, just a few kilometers from the Afghan border. This is Makunik, and it's a village that has made itself invisible. The homes here are semi-subterranean, dug into the ground, covered with domed roofs that barely rise above the surface. From a distance, Makunik looks like a field of anthills, low, brown, almost indistinguishable from the surrounding desert. Why would anyone build like this? Simple. Survival. This is one of the harshest places in Iran. Summer temperatures regularly exceed 45 degrees Celsius. The winter winds are ferocious, carrying sand that can strip paint. Rain falls only a few times a year. By building partially underground, the people of Makunik solved all of those problems. The earth insulates. The low profile offers little resistance to the wind. The domed roofs channel rainwater into small cisterns. But there's another reason, and it's rarely talked about. For centuries, this region was a crossroads for raiders and invading armies. A low, invisible village was a defensive village. A passing army might march right past, mistaking the domes for rock formations or animal burrows. It was camouflage, the only defense available to a small, isolated community with no walls and no weapons. The interiors are surprisingly spacious. The floor is dug about 2 meters below the surface, creating a cool, quiet living space. The walls are plastered with clay and straw, often decorated with simple geometric patterns. A small hearth is built into the center of the floor, with a flue leading up through the dome. And in one corner, a narrow staircase leads up to the entrance. The village is laid out in a loose cluster, with the homes separated by narrow, winding paths that are also dug slightly below ground level. So even when you're walking through Makunic, you're never fully exposed. The paths act as trenches, shielding you from wind and sun. The whole settlement has deliberately shrunk away from the world, pulling itself into the earth like a tortoise into its shell. The people here are ethnic Persians, but they've developed unique customs. They speak a dialect influenced by neighboring Afghan languages. They wear clothing made from rough, homespun wool dyed with local plants, and they farm on tiny plots irrigated by an ancient underground water channel called a qanat, which brings meltwater from mountains 100 kilometers away. In recent years, Makunic has gained a strange kind of fame. Some have called it the village of dwarfs, based on the low doorways and small rooms. That's not true. The people are not dwarfs. They're just people who adapted to an extreme environment by making themselves small, by lowering their profile, by disappearing into the earth. And in a world that constantly demands we stand out and be seen, there's something quietly powerful about a village that has chosen, for 1,000 years, to remain hidden. Makunic won't appear on most maps. It won't trend on social media. But it's there, in the Badlands of South Khorasan, a handful of low domes blending into the desert, sheltering a community that learned that sometimes the best way to survive is simply not to be seen. So there you have it, from the volcanic cones of Kandavan to the underground chambers of Maymand, from the vertical streets of Masule to the invisible domes of Makunic. We've traveled across an Iran that the news never shows you. While the world watches the Strait of Hormuz, obsessed with oil and conflict and power, these 7 villages keep living according to rhythms that are thousands of years old. They're not museums. They're not tourist attractions. They're homes, real homes, where real people wake up each morning, light their fires, tend their animals, and raise their kids. They represent something the modern world has mostly forgot: that human beings can live in harmony with the earth, not by conquering it, but by listening to it. The Strait of Hormuz will stay a flashpoint. That's not changing anytime soon. But these hidden villages, they'll stay too, quiet, resilient, carved into mountains and canyon walls, waiting for those willing to look beyond the headlines. This is the Iran that nobody talks about. And now you've seen it. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, drop a comment and let me know which village you'd want to visit. And subscribe for more journeys to the hidden corners of our world.